Welcome to Jared Scott Outdoors. This YouTube channel is dedicated to getting our youth more involved in the outdoors. To do this, I'll be out with family and friends doing all sorts of outdoor adventures. This week on Jared Scott Outdoors, Kade and I are out here trying to summit a couple of Idaho's 12,000 foot peaks. Now there's 9 of them, and I've been able to summit 5 of the 9 so far. I've kind of left the ones that seem a little tougher for the end. And so now that my kids are getting older, I'm getting a little braver, and we're just running out of the easy ones, it's time to tackle some of these tougher ones. So we're gonna hope to get 2 of them today. Right here off to the right, we're at the trailhead right now. We're gonna head up to Mount Church, and then we'll talk about the other peak as well. But either way, this one's kind of a tough one. There's a head wall that I've read about that's pretty sketchy. I guess a lot of loose rock and things like that. Kade, what do you think about it?
I think you can do it.
All right, Cade's not afraid of anything. He's still young and dumb, I guess, or just not old and chicken. I don't know. But either way, we're gonna go and see if we can actually tackle these. For anyone wanting to summit Mount Church, you'll head in the same direction you would go to summit Mount Bora and several other of Idaho's tallest peaks, as many of them are all on the same mountain range. You'll head through Arco and keep going north through Moore and then Mackey, on past Mackey Reservoir. Each peak has its own best starting spot, so you'll want to map things out a little before you head out so you know where to go. In this case, we were looking for the Lone Cedar Creek Road. The Lone Cedar Creek Road is a good road to a private ranch, but just as you get to the irrigated property, you'll see a side road circle around the property and then on up to the trailhead. As I recall, we didn't have to worry about any kind of high clearance spots or four-wheel drive, so a regular car would probably make it to this trailhead. Either way, map out your route ahead of time so you can get right to the trailhead without any issues. It's time for the Outdoor Tip of the Week, brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union. Their mission, helping members achieve financial success. As you can tell, we got an early start. Many hikers like to camp at the trailhead so they're there and ready to go at first light. In general, you always want to have an early start so you can make it to the peak before any possible afternoon thunderstorms roll through. Even with a good forecast, those things can pop up out of nowhere. We opted just to wake up at 4 a.m. and try to drive to the trailhead around sunup, which ended up working just right. While there isn't necessarily a sign for the trailhead, it's pretty obvious. Just follow the only trail as it heads right up into the mouth of the canyon. We're off. The trailhead is obvious when you get on the road. The road just ends and then the trail starts, so it's pretty easy there. Outside of that, I didn't see a whole lot of information on the trail. I know there's parts where it's just find your way up. But anyhow, so we'll just see what this trail is like. I already lost the trail, but it's obviously up this. As we expected, the trail was pretty easy to follow for now. There was a few places it would disappear for a moment, but since it was so steep on either side of the canyon, there really was nowhere else it could be except for right up the bottom. So whenever we lost the trail, it would materialize pretty quickly.
We've been gaining elevation right off the bat. It's gone pretty steep pretty fast. I think the stats were getting 5,000 feet in about 3.5 miles, so that'll be fun, but we'll see how it goes.
It had been so dry up to this point that I was surprised when I heard the sound of water and looked down and saw the wash that had been totally dry was actually running pretty well.
Okay, we're about a mile up and there's quite a bit of water up here. It disappears down there. So this is the first time we've been seeing water. So if you want to pack less water, you can always stop and get some here.
Not too far past the point we started seeing water, we ran into a wall. We looked around and didn't see any trail other than the obvious signs of people hiking right up the steep part.
Is there a trail there?
A little bit. There's a trail there. I think there's trails everywhere.
We hesitantly pulled our way up this steep part, slipping and sliding as we went, only to find that unless we kept going up, we were clipped out.
All right, Kate, at this point, what do we do?
We're gonna keep going up.
No, we're not gonna, we're gonna go back down.
What?
Look at that.
Do you think we can get above this thing and just cruise along that side?
Yeah, but look at where we're fighting.
Well, if we can get above this one. I don't know.
All right, you have to go straight up and then we gotta have a way across.
We could see a possible route up higher that would probably give us a way back down to where we expected the trail to be, and so we went with it. It just meant lots of unneeded elevation gain, if there actually was even a way through this cliffy area. Sure enough, we found an animal trail that angled back down to the bottom, where we also found the correct trail. Somewhere in the bottom, the trail was hidden in the vegetation. So if you get to this point, do yourself a favor and stay in the bottom. The trail will work itself out.
Back on the trail.
Oh, ye of little faith.
And our water is gone. Boy, their colors blend right into the wood. Yeah, if they weren't moving, you would not even know they were there. Oh, you can see the head wall up there. First solid glimpses. Yep, it does look horrible.
All right, this is our first view of Mount Church. Looking at that rock wall climbing up seems a bit terrifying. So it might be a little bit interesting.
Not only could we see the head wall and Mount Church itself, but the canyon was starting to open up a little and getting into some prettier stuff.
So Kade and I are both agreeing that you would look at that and say there's no way you can climb that. And number two, why would you want to climb that? And here we are, we're going to go climb that. Or try. We have yet to see if we succeed. We got the head wall off here to the right. Can't see very well right now, and it looks like that, just a little shorter. So see if we can find a route through that thing.
When it opened up even more, we were able to see more of the mountain range. I suddenly doubted the peak I was looking at was actually Mount Church. It almost looked like it was the next one to the right. The easiest way to figure that out was by opening up my topo app.
Oh, nope, we've been right. All right, for a minute there we thought we were looking at the wrong peaks, but I can very easily get our directions with this and our location. We're at 9,300 feet, so we've gone up 2,000 feet, which doesn't seem like a lot at the moment. But we've got Mount Donaldson, well, Donaldson Peak here off to the right, which is pretty intimidating. And there's a little lake right there in between them, up ahead that we got to get to. And then we got the head wall. So the head wall is actually kind of hidden a little bit. But either way, it's a cool view from down here. It's fantastic seeing those two peaks, but they both look intimidating. And I say both because we're going to summit both of those. That's how we're going to get two 12ers today. We've got two of them side by side. There's the head wall that's right in the middle. And so if we can get past that head wall, we're going to bag two 12,000 foot peaks today.
Now that we knew we were heading in the right direction and we knew exactly what peak was which peak, we kept moving forward. It was really opening up now and getting even more pretty, especially as the sun started peeking over the mountain.
We are not 100% sure of the route at this point anymore. It just opens up into, it's actually a really beautiful basin. So we're staying in the little bit more grassy, a little less rocky route. Once we get up to that pond, then I think it becomes a little more specific on where you gotta go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is follow the ridge to that trail you're seeing.
This section of what all you can call is a rock pile, as it heads up towards the pond and the head wall, just kept going and going. There were a couple other hikers that we saw behind us lower on the trail, and we were just staying in front of them a few hundred yards.
I do not get how you can be hiking up a mountain of pure rock, be on a rock trail, and then have the trail suddenly turn into dirt. Unfortunately, it's steep enough. This is a 2 steps forward, 1 step back section.
We finally got to what looked like a basin up ahead of us and assumed we'd made it to the pond that we could see on the map.
Well, without having our maps out, we thought this was going to be our little pond here, but it's a false top area of this. So you get to here and you can tell there's another little ridge, so we checked our app, and sure enough, the little pond is above that.
So we kept going, trying to get to that pond as just a waypoint in our brains that we wanted to make it to before starting the next step.
Ooh, I would not get your water from this. So we made it here. I thought this pond would be a little more substantial. It usually, or it can be. It's been a pretty dry year. Just got a mud puddle, so don't plan on getting to here for water, is what it looks like. But so here we've got our head wall, and we can see where everybody's going up and down right here. And then from there, it looks like they cut to the right and then back to the left. That looks like the best route as near as I can tell. From what I read, it was pretty much get to there and find your own route. There wasn't anything better or worse. But either way, that's our plan, is follow where everybody's going, cut to the right, cut back to the left. It's not so much of exposure as much as slick rock on steep stuff, from what I gather. So anyways, last tough push is that head wall right there.
It was still several hundred feet of elevation gain to get to the base of the head wall. And this, quite honestly, may have been some of the harder stuff because it was so tough to get footing. It was steep and the rocks and dirt just slid out from under our feet really easily. And so even though it didn't look like it'd be a problem to get to that head wall, it was tough and required a lot of breaks to make it up to some sort of solid rock. Thank goodness we both had 2 walking sticks because they really helped.
Made it to the solid rock.
With the other hikers under us, we waited for them to catch up so we wouldn't roll any loose rocks down on them as we attacked this steeper head wall. Once to us, they were quick just to keep on going. From this point, we'd have to be very cognizant of each other and make sure we weren't directly below them whenever possible. There were just too many rocks that could be kicked loose on accident.
So we're at the head wall. It looked pretty stinking nasty from down lower. What's your thoughts now?
It seems better now. Can actually see a way up there.
It's still steep right here,
Yeah, that looks horrible, but that's slowly better.
but we got a route. You can see the guys up there hiking. At this point, just at the head wall, looks like we've got 1,000 feet left. So we've done 4,000 of our 5,000. So you can do this.
This was the part we'd been worried about, at least from what I read on the reviews. And in reality, the reviews weren't too negative, other than being careful for falling rocks. It was really more just on how it looked right in front of us. You could see a path forward, but could never see very far. And so you never knew if you were going in the right direction or heading towards something that would be impassable. At times we followed the 2 ahead of us, and at times we chose a different route, eventually passing the 2 up.
Heads.
Yep, we see it. We're good.
In the end, all we could do was move forward and hoped we picked a good route.
Oh my gosh, the leg's on fire. Holy crap.
We thought that maybe this was the peak and that we had just swung around too far to the right. It turned out we weren't at the top yet, but close. However, we had indeed gone too far right. Instead of coming up north of Donaldson Peak, we popped up to the south of it.
All right, there's Mount Church, and we're pretty much on Donaldson. We just got 100 yards of easy stuff. It's just ridges everywhere. You. Way to go. Donaldson Peak. All right, one down. The other one is over there, which weirdly enough looks really intimidating.
Very intimidating.
Even though we just got up here and did what we thought was the more intimidating part.
This looks way worse.
I think you're good. You just follow that ridge. I think.
Ridge that's like a foot wide?
So Mount Church is about 150 feet higher, 175 or something feet higher. So we still have a little more height to go, but the view really is incredible up here. Just because you can see, it's not like, we are on a ridge line, but somehow we end up being surrounded by peaks right here. I'm not quite sure how that works, but what do you think, Kade?
It's pretty cool.
How about this face here? Was it?
Wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
Better than I thought it was going to be.
We did have to worry about rocks, and with these other climbers, we kind of kept track of each other and moved as a group. They were right behind us. So, anyways, this is cool.
It was really cool.
One more to go, though. We got to drop down. Who knows how much? And then climb back up. But this is awesome.
As you can see, we're out of time. So I'll show you our summiting of Mount Church next time. But I'll tell you what, it tested our nerves a lot more than what we've done so far. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the Jared Scott Outdoors YouTube channel.